Hey guys, Scott Patton here, and I've got my what's happening on Chickamauga. You know, you guys, we're going into the end of August. Summer's coming to the end. We've had some cool weather the last couple of weeks. It's been really nice to wake up these real nice chilly mornings and being on the water and stuff. But I think it's going to start warming back up again. You know how summer is. It's almost like winter. You just don't want to give up. But it's supposed to warm back up some this week. But still yet, our days are definitely getting shorter. And that means that we have cooler temperatures at night, and it's slowly cooling off that water temperature. Nothing big yet, but it's still making a change on these fish and what they're doing. So hopefully the rundown I got right here will help you guys out some that's coming down here, put a few more fish in the boat. And we're going to start out, you know, I've been fishing nothing but grass, you guys. That's all I've been fishing. I don't care if I'm down the lake or up in the river. I'm still, you know, areas I know where the grass is. Early in the morning, again, top water's been good. If you got cloudy and some wind on the water, it's going to help you so much. I've really done pretty good this past week throwing like a pop bar or a popping bait, you guys. I've been throwing different colors, whether it's this is a blue glimmer, that one's been custom painted. I've been throwing like just a natural shad color also, you guys. And even the bone, it's done good. On the, you know, the couple days that we had that was cloudy and some rain was coming in the area, so that bone color's been good too. And you can see the feathers have almost come off that hook right there. I need to replace that. But anyways, I'm throwing that on a 6104 pound naked rod. It's been a perfect length for this. I like a shorter rod when I'm throwing in top water. I can pop it better, just like working a jerk bait. I'm throwing on 17 or 20 pound test monos while I'm throwing all my you know, popping baits on. And also I'm still catching fish, you guys, of course, on, you know, like a char blow or some kind of walking bait, the sammy, stuff like that. That's still a good bait early in the morning. And I've done so much better, you guys, by throwing this thing out, walking it 2 or 3 times fairly slow, and then stopping it and letting it just soak for a minute. And again, if you got wind, that helps so much more, because that bait sits there and rocks in the water. It seems like you get way more bites on that. But it seemed like the bite I've had, they've been wanting that, eating that bait when it's been sitting still. So keep that in mind. Don't overfish your bait, okay? So the top, you know, like I say again, the morning's been key on top water bite. You know, throwing the buzz bait some too. I've had a couple fish eat it, but they've been smaller fish. Seem like the bigger fish, you know, the quality fish haven't really got into that moving bait. The water's just not cooled off enough to make them that aggressive on a top water bait. Okay, guys, one other thing I've been doing lately, and I really enjoy to punch. I have a lot of people that don't want to punch, and this is something you're going to have to rig up and go out there and fish and stay with it, because you're going to find a group of fish in this grass, and when you do, you're going to be able to catch them, especially after the morning bite and everything's done. If I want to stay out there and fish a little bit longer, then I'll usually, you know, want to go to punching. If you ain't going to catch them punching, use that wacky rig. It's going to be your next best thing. But basically all I'm doing, you guys, you know, I've got a POW Endurance flipping stick. I got the loose flipping and pitching reel. Love that reel. I'm rigging up a 3/4 ounce pro tungsten. You see I got a peg weight on there. It's about a number 5/0 hook. And I've got Rage Bug from Strike King, one of my favorite flipping baits. But anyways, this green pumpkin blue swirl. What I'm doing is I'm rigging this thing up. I'm going out there in that little bit deeper grass, you know, at 4 to 5 foot range, you know, but some of it may be topped out, some of it may not be, but I know there's, you know, 4 to 5 foot of water underneath that grass. And I'm just at the 3/4 ounce weight. There's normally enough weight where you can pitch in there and let the thing fall. Just let it fall to the bottom. Once it falls to the bottom, I'll let it set for a second. Then I'll sit there and shake it a few times. I'll pull it up. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll pull up to the bottom. If it's actually a good mat, I'll pull that bait up to, it's like if it falls down to the bottom, it's on the bottom, this is my hands to the bottom of the mat. It fell down there, and after I shake it on the bottom like that a few times, they don't eat it. I'll pull it up on the mat like that, and I'll pop it like maybe a bluegill or something up there eating, you know, insects or something out of that mat, and I'll let it fall back down like that again. A lot of times they'll eat it right there, you guys, because that's where they're looking for those bluegill stuff in those mats. Because normally when they get in there and that bait or even your shad could be on top of the water, But anyway, so try that. If you you throw it in there and let it fall to the bottom, sit there and shake it a few times, pull it back up, shake it up, around there and make it move around and let it fall back down, you guys. If you're not catching punching mats and stuff like that, or if you want to get out and experiment and try fishing mats, this is a good technique. We use that a lot down on Okeechobee and stuff, and the same thing on the hyacinth mats and stuff like that. But anyways, I've caught some nice fish, lost a couple good fish punching, and punching, to me, this is really a good time of year to get out and start doing some punching. You can do it all day long if you want to. But that's another technique I've been doing here in the last 10 days or so, guys. All right. So the next thing I've been throwing, and it's worked real good too, and I'm going to still stay with topwater, is of course the frog, you guys. There's some mats out there. The water's not already coming down that much, but still there's mats out there. You're going to have more mats up in the river than you are down lake. Now, back in the creeks and stuff like that, you're good with finding some mats. You're just going to cover water, find those spots and stuff like that. But usually it seems like that mat had to have 2 or 3 foot of water underneath it in order to draw a good bite. And I'm calling a good bite, a 2 3/4 pounder or better. The real shallow pockets that's going back and there's hardly not that much water in those mats and stuff like that. I've caught some fish in them, but those end up, or had them blow up. You can just tell they're smaller fish, 12, 14-inch fish. But it seemed like what the key has been finding that mat that has a little bit of depth underneath it is the ones that's been good, especially when you're fishing back in the creeks and stuff like that, back in the pockets, guys. But that frog, I've just been throwing up there, just popping it. I'm not moving it real crazy. That's why I got the popping frog on, is because it seemed like I've got to move the water, but I don't want to get crazy. But they got to know it's there, and it just irritates them if it's moving that water in that grass just a little bit. So just slowly pop that thing, let it set. Slowly pop it and let it set, and then he'll bust through there. So it's really been almost like a finesse type deal with that frog in order to get him to eat that frog. And I just keep it on the deck because you never know. And I've caught fish 1 o'clock in the day on the frog. Especially in some of these shady pockets and stuff like that. So it's just something you want to keep on the deck and throw it when you see the right cover in order to get that frog bite, guys, okay? So that frog's something you definitely want to be fishing out here on Chickamauga right now. It's just a matter of time before we do get a good frog bite going. I'm going to say sometime in mid-September it'll probably kick in, or even probably late September. It depends on what Mother Nature does as far as with the weather and it cooling off, because it can still stay hot, and you know that. I've talked about this before down here at Spinnerbait. I just don't think a lot of people are fishing it. That little coil round spinnerbait, I make these little spinnerbaits right here. See, it's small and compact. We've got a lot of this year's fry out there, you guys, and I just feel like this matches that hatch as far as that fry. I've been going back in the pockets where I know there's stumps and stuff, scattered grass. I'm fishing this mostly, say, 3 foot or less. And I've been catching several fish on it. And again, the type of conditions, like right now it's dead slick out here, no wind, that's not going to be key for this. But early in the morning you can still get bit on this too. But if you got some wind, some cloud cover, it seemed like that spinnerbait, I've caught some really nice fish, 4-pounders and stuff on it. So I would definitely have that spinnerbait tied on. I only got this one on 17-pound test line. I don't usually throw that 1/4 ounce on anything. I'll do 15 or 17. I can just get a little bit more distance, and I want to fish it real slow, just a slow roll is what you're wanting. You're not wanting to fish that thing. I get too many guys wanting to fish that thing too fast. The spinnerbait's up high. You got to keep that bait down there to where those stumps are close to the cover if you're not hitting them with it. You just got to super slow roll it down through there, you guys. And sometimes that's why I like that 15-pound test line, because it's easier to get that 1/4 ounce down where the line's not trying to, the buoyancy of the line, not trying to push it up. Of course, I'm throwing fluorocarbon on it, cigar fluorocarbon. And I got my 705 power rod, fantastic rod for that. Okay, and then, and like I said, everything I'm fishing, you guys, basically is 5 feet or shallower. Most of it's around 3 to 4 foot range where I've been catching my fish. And they're not everywhere, you're going to find them, but if you find an area, you'll catch 3 or 4 or 5 fish out of it. And some days we might catch 10, but you're talking about 3 guys in the boat. And one guy might catch a couple on Chatterbait, one guy might catch a couple on Spinnerbait, you might get 1 or 2 on topwater, then you might get some on a Senko. So, you can throw, if you get a couple bites in the area, I'd throw different baits. because it's not like these fish are keyed into one particular lure at all, okay? Of course, the old famous jackhammer, gotta have it down here. You know, the blue glimmer, some shad pattern like that is good down here. This is one I think I've changed out and put a gold blade on it instead of nickel. That golden shiner's been pretty good, especially on these sunny days. But most of the time I'm just throwing this again on a 705 endurance paddle rod. My lure's reel, and I'm throwing it on a 17-pound test line. And just don't fish it too fast. It's like this spinnerbait, you guys got to keep that thing down in the water. The fish aren't coming up after a bait. So if you're down here and you're not getting bites, it could be because you're just not keeping that bait down in the water column deep enough in that, around that 4-foot range in order to draw them strikes. Because they're not chasing later in the morning, later in the day. On these sunny days, they're just not coming up chasing the bait real good at all. The majority of fish are not. So again, outside edges of grass beds, on the ends of the pockets, you know, I'm just more or less junk fish. I'm, you know, I hate to say that, but I really am. I know areas where there's fish, but I might see a good clump of grass over there, or a hole in an area of a grass over there, and I'll throw what bait works best in there, and that's how I'm catching my fish. So you gotta be versatile and keep an open mind. It's not gonna be one bait you're gonna go out there and catch a bunch of fish on. You have a variety of baits right now, and fish them according to what you're seeing in front of you, whether it's a point, back in a pocket, a grass mat, a creek channel, or a little drop off in the grass, anything like that. Just pay attention to it on your depth finder, and if it's a little drop off, then I'll throw that chatterbait or that spinnerbait on it. If it's, you know, more of a shallow flat clump of grass, I've only got a foot and a half of water over top of the grass, I may throw that you know, I can slow roll that spinnerbait in there. But I'm still, it seems like in that kind of stuff there is where I'm going to pick up that Senko, especially later in the day, and throw that Senko in there and catch them on that. You know, you've got to always have that Senko rigged up, you guys. I've said it a million times already. You know, I just rig it, most of the time I'm just rigging that wacky rig. That's a number 2 hook. I've got a 1-inch finishing nail in the very end of that thing, which I'm trying to pull out, just push it back in there. It just helps that gliding action a little bit, keeps it down there in the water column where the fish don't want to come way up high. And so you're keeping your bait in the strike zone is what it's doing. And you just have to kind of fish it. If I use that 2-aught, or that number 2, yeah, 2-aught hook, it doesn't hang as bad in the grass, but it's big enough to hook and hold a good fish. Plus, my weight of my hook is not going to overpower the bait and just make it fall like just a regular wacky rig. It's more of a Nico rig, but it's a gliding action with that buoyancy of the plastic. It's making it, helping that bait glide, and I just got enough weight of that 1-inch nail weight in the head of that thing that attracts them fish, and it just looks like it's swimming in the water. So if you guys having any trouble out there catching fish, it's just, I'm telling you, it's just around the corner. There really some really good fishing. You know, as far as that wacky rig and stuff like that, I've been throwing green pumpkin, watermelon red, green pumpkin red. It seems like those darker colors right now have been working better for me. But like I was getting at, you know, there's a lot of good fishing getting ready to happen down here on Chickamauga, you guys. I'm looking forward to it. You know, it can be long till we're going to be full blown out frog fishing. You know, that spinnerbait bites gets real good down here. I have a lot of fun with that. And like I said, I'm just old school. I grew up, you know, some of the biggest bass I ever caught when I was 14, 15 years old was on a spinnerbait. I've been fishing my whole life. I love it when I get it on a good spinnerbait bite. But anyways, you guys, that's pretty much what's been happening on Chickamauga for me. I haven't been fishing offshore deep or anything. Like I said, my boat may be in 10 foot of water, 7 foot of water. I'm fishing those grass lines in that, you know, 3 to 4 foot, maybe 5 foot, depending on where I'm seeing that grass at. But it seems like you got that mat coming out, it starts tapering out, and then you get out there and it starts that last taper right there. That seems to be that little given area right there. It seems to be where those fish are mostly holding that during the day when they're not actively feeding, or even the fish I'm getting on top water. You know, some of those fish are holding those that secondary drop kind of, and say, off from that grass bed, and it depends on how it's laid out. If you know where any springs are, I've done good around some springs and stuff around here on that. I know some of you probably don't know where they're at, but we do have springs on there, and usually when you find those, you're going to find a school of fish this time of year around those areas. But anyways, guys, I hope this helped you out. I appreciate you liking this video. Subscribe, you guys. That means so much to me, a lot too. Anyways, if I see you on the water, see you anywhere in town, something like that, give me a shout, and we'll see you on the water. Thanks for watching, guys.